Hello, everyone. We'll just give it a couple minutes here for allow some time for people to join. All right, looks like we got a decent amount in here, so I'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome to today's webinar. We'll dive into how to defend, detect, and respond to cybersecurity threats today. So a key goal for Moxa has always been to ensure that all of our products, especially the new generation of secure networking solutions, can effectively help customers reduce potential cybersecurity risks and threats. So joining us today for part 2 of the cybersecurity series is Mox's product marketing managers for networking and cybersecurity, Felipe Costa and Marty Wapshi. Great to have you back. Now, I just want to go over a few things before we jump into our presentation here. So we'll be sure to save some time at the end of the webinar for a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask away within that Q&A function. Our presenters will get around to answering those questions at some point once the webinar presentation concludes. You'll also see the occasional poll question pop up on your screen over the course of the webinar, so please feel free to answer at your convenience. All of your feedback is definitely valued and appreciated, so we thank you for that. And with all of that in mind, I'll pass it off to Marty and Felipe to kick off part 2 of our cybersecurity webinar series. Take it away, guys.
Hey, thanks, Andrew. Let me jump in here to go over what we're going to cover today. So basically, we're going to start off with going through some of the switching products, really going beyond 62443-4-2. I'll cover a little bit about Moxa's security strategy, talking about vertical and horizontal security solutions and some of the things that we offer. And then we'll wrap it up by kind of going through some of the security and network management product line improvements that we've made. So with that, I'm going to introduce and turn it over to Felipe. And I think we've got a poll question to maybe start with here.
Correct.
So poll question 1 is, which Moxa products do you use today to help protect your network from cybersecurity threats? So if you guys could check any and all products that you guys may be using today. We're just trying to get an inventory to see, what some of the popular products are that you guys are already using. Okay, so it looks like we've got a lot of switching products, which isn't surprising. A good number of EDR, actually, that's good. And we've got a bunch of end ports as well.
Interesting.
And it looks like a little bit of network management. So great. All right. So Felipe, could you maybe start us off by kind of reviewing where we left off last time as far as defense in depth, and maybe cover that for some of the folks on the call that might have missed our first webinar?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Hi, Marty. Good to see you again. Let's say, as Mark just explained, we covered a lot of that in our first webinar. So definitely, if you want more information, don't hesitate to check the first webinar. But trying to summarize our first conversation, Marty, basically defense in depth, I brought here a phrase from a quote actually from Sun Tzu, that basically attack is a secret of defense, and defense is planning for an attack. So my understanding from that, basically, in order to build a very good defense strategy, we need to understand who we are protecting against for. So basically, defense in depth, like we explained in different conversations, is a strategy that we build different barriers to avoid, from an attack perspective, an incident. So also to help us to build here the context for our conversation today, I would like to share the next slide. Basically, we can see that cybersecurity, several times we hear that people treat it like a project, but definitely we believe that we should treat this like more a journey instead a project itself. As we can see, when we are talking about defense in depth and a lot of security features per se, we are pretty much covering the basics. It's very necessary, but still we have a lot of further steps that hopefully we will cover in our conversation today with your solutions, Mari, and Moxa perspective portfolio. So when we are talking in the first webinar, we are pretty much covering the step 1 and 2, secure and defend, where we are basically building these barriers to make it difficult a penetration in terms of attack perspective. So I will make the bridge. I will explain a little bit how we deliver this defense in terms of defense in depth, in feature, and also in product performance. And after that, I'll jump to you, Mari, to explain about how we can correlate our solutions to deliver more about contain, monitor, and manage. So I believe that is also good to make a short review about our conversation from last presentation to bring a context here. We explained about 643. Definitely, I will not cover all of that. So again, if you want more information, please check it out, our first webinar. And we cover one aspect from 643, that is the secure levels. And basically, we see here 4 secure levels. These definitions come from the standard itself. And to make it a little bit easier, I made a kind of more, let's say, simple translation. That is what I bring it up in these green boxes that are to come. Perfect. So as you can see, I will explain more details, but Moxa portfolio in switching and networking, we are delivering what we call secure level 2. That in practical ways, basically is a protection against one hacker directly trying to hack a system and using what we call simple means sophistication that, generally speaking, we can use, for example, Kali Linux as a comparison toolset of hacking. And basically, if you make all the configurations that we recommend, basically your product will be able to be protected against this type of attack. So it's, let's say, a very important and per se a very sophisticated type of defense for a networking perspective.
So Felipe, given that we're focused on security level 2, is security level 2 good enough to protect today's critical infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Marty. I prepared one slide to explain a little bit more on that. This is from US Homeland Security training. And as you can see, they categorize the attack sophistication in 3 groups. Although it's not like apple to apples for what we are bringing here for secure level perspective, there is definitely a correlation. For group 1 is basically what we are calling from the standard perspective, secure level 2. So basically, this chart here brings that the most common type of attacks for the critical infrastructure is performed by the group 1, or in other words, secure level 2. So although we do have, let's say, most sophisticated type of attacks, if we cover and build our defense for secure level 2, definitely we will be covering the most likely, statistically saying, type of attack. So again, we definitely need to perform risk assessments and other actions to build our defense strategy, but definitely building around secure level 2, we'll be covering the most common type of attacks. I hope it answered the question, Marty. Let's say when we explain about secure level 2, maybe it's a little bit difficult to see what exactly that means. So I built here basically some slides to explain a little bit more about this security level delivery that we have in our product. So first thing, you need to consider we have, like, say, a networking perspective, a really broad portfolio. So we have smart switches, we have, like, say, intra-level managed switches, and also the most advanced that is EGS 4000 family. And all of them have different, let's say, perspectives in terms of delivery of cybersecurity. So definitely, according to your strategy, you need to go after a specific product line. So if you are looking for secure level 2, that is basically the most advanced in our portfolio to protect your networking, definitely we will be talking about the EDS G4000 family for Gene Rail. And we have the same, let's say, status of defense of secure level 2 for rack mount, there's RKS, and other products. I will cover a little bit more in the other slides, but just make a point, definitely we have different sets of cybersecurity delivery in our product. And so we definitely can help you with different strategy in what you were trying to achieve. The next slide basically brings let's say an overview for our product that we are targeting in this conversation, that is EGS 4000, that basically brings the security level 2 that we explained, that is basically help us to protect against one direct attack with intention, with some type of sophistication, like we explained. And in order to do that, we need different things. Of course, a lot of features, but more than that, we will explain more that we need like a secure by design process. I will share more details of what exactly does it mean. So here you can have a high level from these features, and also considering the complexity that we have in industrial control system in general. We, as Moxa, we understand that we also need to bring not just for wire network, we also need to bring for wireless networking this type of sophistication. So we are glad to share that definitely we have already some products that they have the capability for secure level 2 also in wireless coverage. So definitely it helps us to build and have more flexibility in terms of how to build our networking, wireless and with a wired networking. So come back to going beyond the product itself. When we talk about, let's say, cybersecurity, usually we come with a lot of features, right? They definitely are important. But when we are building a strategy, we need to consider more than just the product and the feature itself. We will explain about how to coordinate and how to make configurations. That is also another important aspect. But considering the product itself, we need to have a process to build, to keep, maintain, and retire products. This is also one of the chapters or the books from NGFW that is specifically the -4-1 recommends. And Moxa, as we explained in our first webinar, we are one of 2 companies worldwide that are certified in terms of product life cycle, how to build cybersecurity by design products. So some of these aspects, we definitely have a team to help us to respond to vulnerabilities, and also to provide patches and all the other things that are extremely important when it comes for a cybersecurity strategy. It's not just the product itself, but like again, it's necessary to have all the background and also the process to keep this product ready in terms of the attacks that we have outside. So bringing this context, right? Explaining that we as a company, we have all these processes in place, and Mari also will talk more about that. We will make a bridge with the features by itself. Like we explained, consider the market. security level 2 is pretty advanced in terms of protection. Definitely, we can have more conversations if you want to. We will bring up a full question at the end if you want to have more information about technically what the standard brings in that perspective. We can address in our next webinar. But let's say the simple version, Moxa combined all the recommendations from the standard that there are 7 that we call fundamental requirements. So here is how Moxa is delivering these recommendations. And the next slide is basically officially how the standard requests that our product, or to have a product certified in order to be security level 2, you need to address all these fundamental requirements. We can consider this as a perspective of security. So in other words, the standard recommends basically 7 different perspectives to build a resilient cybersecurity product. And Moxa delivers basically all these features and combination of fundamental requirements in our certified product. And another message that I would like to share, and I believe this is my last slide, we talked here today a lot about the certification 6443, the 4-2, that is where we have a lot of recommendations about what is necessary in terms of features, perspectives, and as we also discussed, pretty much covers the most common type of attacks, considering U.S. Homeland Security statistics. But give a message that Moxa is really committed with cybersecurity perspective and bringing the concept of security by design beyond. Definitely, as you can see, we have here basically our roadmap. MXNOS is basically how we call our software that runs inside our networking product. And as you can see, in 2022, basically, we delivered the 2.0 version that basically delivers all the 7 requirements and the compliance with 6443-4-2. But as you also can see in the same year and this year, and also forecast for next year, we have a new versions and new release for MXNOS perspective. And of course, we will bring a lot of networking enhancements and many other, let's say, features in terms of enhance our portfolio. But as you can see, we are bringing a lot of cybersecurity features. And basically, our message here is, although we consider that it's a 6443-4-2 is definitely a great framework in terms of the foundation, in terms of what is needed for a networking device, we are definitely going beyond that and delivering in each new release more features that we understand that will help our customers to keep building more resilient networking and help them keep protected with the most common type of attacks. So with that, I would like to make like a connection with our second topic of the day and about the cybersecurity strategy. We pretty much cover in my section more about the product, right? But now it's important to see how we tie all this together. So Moxa, Mari, basically, how do you see Moxa position in terms of the cybersecurity scenario, and also how you could share that Moxa plays in the OT networking environment?
Sure, thanks, Felipe. That's a good question. We get this, I think, every single time we talk about security to a customer. So I think you guys saw this from previous webinars, but this is kind of the model that we use, talking about our security solutions model. Felipe covered a lot of the secure development in some of his parts in the last webinar and this one. Today, we're focusing mainly on the products and some of the management pieces. But there's even more to it than that. Just like Felipe said, there's the PCERT types of activities that we do in secure development, even after the product has been released, to try and make sure that bugs and vulnerabilities are addressed And that's part of the whole overall solution. So we'll talk about some of the other products and security enhancements here in just a second. But as far as where Moxa plays, this is kind of really important because you've got a lot of choices out there, and Moxa is not a big, huge networking company like, let's say, a Cisco that's trying to play everywhere in the network, both on the IT side and the OT side. You can see that with some of the enterprise solution providers out there, that may be Orange, that are also kind of moving into the OT space. Moxa and Teal there, we really started out with OT connectivity, a lot of it our heritage and serial to Ethernet. You can see there, we really focus on kind of the edge of the network and kind of push our way in towards the OT aggregation and core. So a lot of times you're going to see us as a complement to whatever security solutions the IT side of the house is deploying. Because again, that's just not where we play. We play really specifically in the OT side. And then we've got some things that we're doing to integrate with some of the IT tools, whether it be central authentication, SOC SIEM integration, or even network management, to try and bridge that gap between that OT and IT convergence. So if we kind of follow along these lines here, you can see that, again, this is, I think we went over this last time as well, but it's worth repeating. You can see here that on the, again, edge of the network where your OT devices connect, that's where we have a lot of our products, as well as some of the security networking devices that we've talked about. As you move up into the green sections, that's where we can start to segment the network, start to defend against threats. And then as you move up here into the orange, you get some of your network management tools and security visibility. And then up here really being where that OT IT convergence point is, where, you know, this is probably more of a IT managed firewall. It's a Cisco or Fortinet type of device, or Palo Alto. But as we kind of dive a little bit deeper into this, so focusing on vertical security, we saw a lot of you guys have a lot of switches out there that you're using, which is primarily a vertical security type of threat posture. So these are some of the things that you'd see with some of those types of solutions and systems, right? Whether it's your managed switches in these parts of the network, or even, you know, a typical industrial firewall. But one of the disadvantages or weaknesses to this product is, from a vertical security perspective, is it doesn't give you that application level visibility. So that's where some of our new products come into play, and we'll talk about them in just a minute here. But basically introducing the ability to have industrial intrusion prevention and detection at the edge of your network, being able to do some of these things like virtual patching, like the IDS IPS that we talked about, that layer 7 visibility into the network. I can tell you that 100% of our customers that have deployed IDS IPS, even if it wasn't from Moxa, will tell you that they were surprised at how much stuff that they didn't know was on their network and what was talking to other devices on their network that shouldn't be, or have access to. And that visibility at the application level, you just don't have without this horizontal security. It's so important that we're going to spend, I think, our third webinar series focused entirely on this topic. But let's keep going here. So we've got some product line security improvements that we really wanted to highlight, both from a software as well as a product perspective. So to that end, I think what we're seeing here is, you know, this continued evolution of IT-OT convergence. And we're seeing a lot of these devices that are being connected at increasing numbers. And really, this is forcing a lot of our customers and partners to look to move beyond device level management and visibility. And what I mean by that is device level being just going into the device itself, relying on the UI and the information that the device itself can provide, that just doesn't scale and give a lot of our customers now the visibility that they want. So this really requires some pretty robust software management tools, not just the features of the product. And these are some of the things that we've heard from our customers that they want to be able to do and do at scale. So provisioning of devices, being able to integrate with their IT partners for both scale and visibility. Central to this has been, centralizing security policies to save time, limit human errors, having centralized visualization for planning, auditing, troubleshooting, and disaster recovery. And then obviously the critical asset protection and network and device availability, just to improve the reliability of the overall network. So what we'll be talking about is some of the tools and features and functions in some of our products to help enable this. So we've talked about this before, but I think it's worth mentioning, especially given how many products we'll be coming out with in the next 6 to 9 months that are going to have this advanced IDS IPS protection. So Moxa is obviously not a security company, so we partnered with Trend Micro to create a joint venture called TX1, where we're leveraging Trend Micro's experience in enterprise network security to provide us with those signature files and some of those things on top of Moxa hardware to provide you as a customer or partner these types of advanced horizontal security capabilities. So being able to, at a protocol, device, IP address, application, be able to whitelist what you're allowed to talk to or even blacklist, being able to provide worm containment, so being able to detect that malicious code that may be introduced on the network by accident or deliberately. Virtual patching, which is really being able to protect legacy Windows operating systems that may not be patchable anymore, given Trend Micro's rich heritage and desktop PC protection. The Moxa IDS IPS devices have this ability to protect and virtually patch older Windows systems like Windows 7 that may not be currently updated anymore for security patches, but doing it at the network level. Obviously giving you the IDS IPS capabilities to look into and monitor as well as block potential malicious threats and applications and things that might attack your network or network assets. And then giving you a way to visualize all of this through our new platform, MX Security. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about this in the next couple slides. So hopefully you guys are familiar with the EDR G9010, our next generation firewall with IDS IPS. This came out about a year ago. At the end of this month, we'll be coming out with a new software update for this product, which will bring it up to the 62443-4-2 certified status, and we'll have that certificate in August. So that will kind of complete our networking products of the 4000 series switches, the new next generation access points that Felipe just mentioned, and now the EDR G9010, all with 62443-4-2 certification. So with the new update, we get the certification, obviously, just like with the switching team that basically branded the software MX NOS, the routing team with the new next generation EDRs and OnCells will be branding that MX ROS, and this will be the 3.0 version. It'll also require MX Security version 1.1. Some of the big updates here is zone-based bridges. We've increased that to 4 zones to match what we do on the NATed firewall mode. We've also rounded out the NAT capabilities in the EDR G9010. So it brings it to NAT feature parity with the NAT 102 because they're using essentially the same software. If you're familiar with the 102's NATing capabilities and setup, it's the same. And then we've added SFTP support, as well as some layer 2 policy log enhancements. Another product that's coming out at the end of this month, beginning of August, is the new OnCell G4302. This one basically takes the old OnCell platforms, and we've added support for things like MXV1. MX Security will be the new platform that will manage this instead of OnCell Manager, and give you a lot of those same mapping and reporting capabilities. In the future, we're going to add MRC gateway capabilities to this, and we'll be able to use MRC's Quick Link server as well for VPN setup and control. So we're excited about that. And this will be supported in MX Security version 1.1. So for those of you that have been with Moxa for a while, when I first started at Moxa, we basically had the EDR 810 and EDR G902, 903s. Since then, we added the NAT 102 box. We added the TX1 products. We now have the OnCell first product in the OnCell 4300 series. We've got the EDR G9010. You can see that we're adding a lot of security features across the platform, and these are all being managed by a common set of management tools and security policy managers, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. As we talked about before, one of the concepts of going beyond device level management, we'll start to manage at scale. There's a lot of features out there, and it's hard to kind of cover all of them. So we've got a lot of different tools as well. So those of you that have seen my presentations in the past have seen, I like to break it down into network lifecycle. What are you trying to accomplish? And then what are the right tools? And we'll break down a little bit more what each of these tools are. But you can see for provision deployment, it's MX config. For network monitoring, troubleshooting, it's MXV1. And for your security policy and threat response and management, it's MX Security.
Hey, Marty, quick question. I'm seeing here MX1 and MX Security. Honestly, what is the difference between them? Could you explain a little bit more?
That's a great question that we get all the time. And I think one of the questions we also get is, do I need both? So let me try and address that, Felipe. So at a high level, I guess the quick answer is you probably are going to need both. But as far as what MXV1 is, it's basically a network management platform that handles visualization and monitoring of the network. So it's not really a security policy manager, but this helps you with topology. It helps you with the alerts and traps. You can see here a lot of the features here: topology, traffic view, security view, the fiber check. This is your site level network management and visibility. So you get to see the network level, see what's on the network, and what does the traffic look like. As far as MX Security, what it is, it's a security policy manager. So it manages the security policies and the security devices, this next generation set of appliances that we have. So it gives you that ability to, if you're using the IDS IPS modules in any of our EDRs, it allows you to control that. But it also is the central firewall and security policy manager for the firewall component. So if we were to break down MX Security in terms of like what it does, basically it's a centralized security and policy multi-site network orchestration platform for firmware, firewall, and security policies in version 1.0. In the 1.1 version that just came out, we're adding reporting, configuration, backup and restore, geo map view for on-cells and those products that are just coming out. From a centralized security policy management perspective, what is unique about this product, which makes it super powerful, is if you've got 25 EDR G9010s all at different sites that you need to manage the firewall and IDS capabilities, what you can do is you can put all of those devices into a device group. And then from there, you can either optionally use object-based firewall rules or set a policy profile like a firewall policy or IDS, IPS policy, and then apply it to that group of EDRs, regardless if they're on the same site or not, as long as they can talk to MX Security. And with one click, you can deploy that policy. So it really helps you prevent configuration, fat fingers, and human error, and it really allows you to scale and deploy the security policies at a very high and fast level. So the other thing that is coming out in August is our new MXV1 Central Manager, and we'll have some other webinars to dive more deeper into this. But really the important thing here is that what MXV1 Central Manager does is it takes all of the individual MXV1 sites and now allows you to aggregate them into a single pane of glass to give you a single dashboard view, a map view, remote access into each of those MXV1 instances that can be managed remotely without having additional remote access need to be set up. It handles group management of not just licenses, so you can now centrally manage all of your MXV1 licenses in one place, but also will handle all of the administrative level access at the different levels. So in summary, basically for network management, device visualization, MXV1, MXV1 Central Manager, and these are the functions that you get with that. For unified security policies, on-cell management, IDS, IPS, it's really MX Security. So Felipe, we've covered a lot of stuff here. There's a lot that's probably overwhelming in terms of just everything that we have. Mm-hmm. If we were to try and answer for a customer, what's something that they can do now to help improve their OT network security level? What would you say, given the number of people that are answered that they're using our switching products?
Yeah, could you please bring back the slide with perfect, that one? Yeah, hard question, Mari, honestly. In terms of cybersecurity, it's really complex. Try to make like a general recommendation. But generally speaking, I would say, considering our customers that already are using our networking products, as you can see, we have some steps, enhancement steps, right? So ideally, I would say, if possible, jump to secure level 2, because we explain a lot of, let's say, important things that you earn when you address the cybersecurity perspective in a certified product. But I understand that we also have some type of budget concern. So with that in mind, generally speaking, I would say, considering the product you use, here we have like a general recommendation. You can move it one step forward and try to make an upgrade of a networking. For example, if you were using nowadays for 100A series, definitely a natural step would be try to upgrade your network for 500E series. Although it's not a secure level 2 certified product, as we can see, we have a lot of cybersecurity enhancements and flexibility. So for this type of, let's say, general recommendation, I would say try to make this natural upgrade like we see here, upscaling. But definitely, if you need any help, our team are here to support you to make this definition in this conversation. And I hope our customers, after your explanation for different, let's say, features we have beyond the product itself, definitely these customers that are looking for more enhanced and sophisticated cybersecurity solution, I would say a combination of secure level certified product plus threat and all the advanced, let's say, firewalls and solutions that you just explained would be the greatest. So again, I believe depends case by case, but generally speaking, I would recommend that.
Thanks, Felipe. All right, just to kind of wrap up the presentation part of it. So we have a comprehensive portfolio of industrial OT connectivity devices, based on a recognized OT security framework. The EDS 4000, G4000 products would be something to take a look at. We've got IDS, IPS, advanced threat detection and response solutions to help with that horizontal security. Something to take a look at then would be like the EDR G9010 with the IDS, IPS option. We've got a bunch of new network management tools that we covered at a really high level, and we'll go into more detail in the third part of the webinar in a few months. But the advances to MX Security, MX View1, MX View Central, really the takeaway here is that, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And we're going to have to always, as to be vigilant with the threats that we're seeing out there, really take up this continuous improvement and figuring out ways that we can all make our networks better and better from a security perspective. So with that, I think we want to end with a couple poll questions. So Andrew, if you could throw up poll question 2 for us. So we covered a lot of stuff today, guys. So we just wanted to know if there might be anything that you'd be interested in hearing about in more detail from a security perspective, and how they might be able to help protect your OT network. So if you want to click, on any and all things that might be of interest to you, this helps us figure out, what to cover on some of these webinars. So we'll give you a moment there to select which ones might be of interest to you.
Yeah, when we are waiting, definitely, if you have any questions, you already can send them on the Q&A. We were definitely willing to answer any of your questions.
All right, and then we had our last poll question. Andrew, if you can throw that one up here real quick. And really, we just want to know if anybody's interested in having us follow up with you directly. As Felipe said, each of these, networks are somewhat unique, and it's hard in a webinar like this to give you any specifics that might be applicable to your particular network. So we, if you're interested, we'd love to talk to you about your specific situation in more detail if you need to. So as Felipe said, what you guys are answering now is if there's any questions, you guys want to go ahead and put them in the chat.
Yeah, I believe, Andrew, we already have some. If you want to bring it, the first one.
All right. Yeah, we do have a couple of questions here already. So first one that we have here is in slide, and I believe this is referring to maybe slide 31. It stated EDR 8010 had turbo ring, turbo chain. EDR 8010 only supports turbo ring. Do you want to speak to that one, maybe, Marty?
Yeah, that might have been just a typo on the slide. That we probably need to fix that. So good catch there, Jerry.
Yeah, so I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think what he might be referring to, it's kind of in one section. It says high availability turbo ring / turbo chain. So it applies to one of them, but not the other.
Yeah, so we can make that a little bit clearer.
Perfect. Let's see what other questions we have here. There we go. Yeah, thanks, Jerry. And then we have, is deep packet inspection and intrusion detection and prevention the same thing?
So Yes and no. So basically the way it works is you have to have hardware that's capable of, deep packet inspection types of capabilities. But in addition to the hardware being able to do that, in order to filter out and detect like the malicious spyware or whatever, um, companies provide you with security signature files. And basically, think of the signature file as like a fingerprint that you use to match against traffic that's being scanned. And when you get a match of, let's say, malicious code or something, then the engine can either block it or log it. So in the case of intrusion detection, it's just I detect it only, I don't actually take any action. In the case of intrusion prevention, I'm not only going to detect it, but I'm going to block it. So there are solutions out there that are detection only, and they're actually pretty popular that we see a lot of them, especially in OT, where they can detect malicious activity, but then they actually don't block anything on their own, and you have to then have another firewall or some other third-party device that can actually do the blocking. Any IPS device, intrusion prevention, that can actually block the traffic can also detect, because they use a lot of the same capabilities as far as the detection piece, but they both require the signature files, but the detection only alerts, it actually doesn't take action. So hopefully that answers the question. If not, maybe they can go ahead and ask a follow-up question.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Another question we have here, will Security View work with third-party networking devices?
So MX Security will not work with third-party devices. So you will not be able to take and manage other industrial firewalls or manage switches, access control lists, and things like that. It's a Moxa specific tool, unfortunately, but it does, add value then to using a Moxa devices from a security policy and network management perspective.
Awesome, thank you. And we do have 2 more left, unless we get any more coming in here. So this next one is, can I try out MXV1 and MX Security?
So that's a great question. Both, actually all of the software, MXV1, MXV Central, when it comes out at the end of the month, and MX Security, all have a 60-day free trial, unlimited use. All you have to do is go to our website, to the product page. I think it's under resources. You can download it, and then basically, you'll have to register the software to get your trial license activated, and then you've got, I believe, 60 days in which to play with it, after which you'll be prompted to buy licenses if you want to continue to use it. But yeah, it's absolutely free. And in the 60 days, it's kind of an unlimited use type of trial.
Perfect. Another one we have here, MX View and MX View Security will be on a single bundle, or will they be separate products?
So that's a great question. Right now, they are treated as separate products. So they're kind of under the MX Studio umbrella. So think of MX Studio as kind of like Microsoft Office, where Microsoft Office itself isn't really a product. It's a subset of products like PowerPoint and Excel and Word. So MX Studio is not really a product. It's a bundle of products of MX V1, MX Security, MX Config, and soon to be MX View Central. So unfortunately, there's not one place to go to download all of it. You do have to go to the network management section of the products and go to each of the product sections and download it, unfortunately.
Awesome. And then finally, I can answer this one here. Will the recording be available to review? Yes, it will be. So we'll send a follow-up email once we conclude this webinar within the next couple of days with the link to the recording. So if you've registered, you'll definitely have access to that. But yeah, with that, I think we can end this webinar here. Thank you all for registering for part 2 of our cybersecurity series. Be sure to stay on the lookout for part 3 of our series, which will be you'll be able to register for soon. Once this Zoom session ends, there will be a simple 3-question survey that you'll be able to participate in just to give your feedback if you want to on this webinar. I also want to give a huge thank you again to both Felipe and Marty for a fantastic presentation here. As always, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we hope you have a good one. Thanks, everyone.